It hit me hard because I spent so much time, not only with Sean on the department, but as I said, a number of years, he was one of my detectives when I was in charge of the detective bureau, and it hurt me. He always had a cheery smile. He didn't have attitude, but Sean was pretty even-keeled. He understood. He understood what the job was. He understood what the job asked. He made sacrifices both in his personal life and career, and he accepted change. It happens quite often around the country and around the state. This was a first for our police department, and Sean put his job on the line. There was someone that was committing acts of criminal mischief, burglary. Despite that, you know, the person entered the river. Sean didn't think twice about going in. It was admirable on his part to make that decision, and most people might turn around and say that why did Sean go in the water and save somebody that was doing all that damage or doing those type of crimes? But a person is a person, and we don't pick and choose. No police officer does. And I know Sean. I've known him for the length of his career. And I know he wouldn't think twice about doing something like that, and as would any of the officers here and any of the officers in the state or the country. He was a family man. I mean, every conversation I had with Sean always went back to his daughter. And I joked at the services that he would ask me about my son, and he knew my son. My son's older, he's 24 years old, but he would ask me about my son. He bought a set of drums off my son years ago, and he would ask me how he's doing, but I don't think he even cared about that. I think it was just a segue into talking about his daughter, and he would go on for the next 20 minutes talking about just about everything that his daughter was doing, how she was progressing, how she was now doing this and now doing that, and it was into soccer and was into different things. And you could just see his eyes light up every time he spoke about his family and his daughter, especially his daughter. And he was a very doting father, to say the least.
He was very patient. He's a very caring person. And just the way he dealt with me, I would say, is probably the best way somebody could deal with my personality. He got everything through to me. He explained everything so well, and I learned very quickly with Sean. We really didn't have a choice, and I'll always be grateful that it was him, because I think anyone else back there probably would have, given up on me or not had the patience. I still use a lot of the techniques that he used, his interview style. Anybody that knows him knew that he was, a very calm guy. He was a guy that talked to you. He was very non-threatening, and that definitely has a place in an interview room, depending on the type of case. One of the big concentrations that he had, that I ended up also having, in probably my first 6 months to a year, was child forensic interviewing. So we would interview children that were victims of crime or that were witnesses to crime. And he was a great guy to learn from there, because his demeanor was so good with kids that, he would sit down, he would go to their level, and they felt comfortable talking to them. Can't walk in there and be, the big bad cop and expect, a 6-year-old that's probably already traumatized to talk to you. And Sean just had a very good approach, and that's one to this day that when I go in there, Sean's in my head somewhere, and, I try to emulate that as much as possible. The thing that sticks with me the absolute most about Sean is just his love of his daughter. When she came along, he had pictures, and we used to actually make fun of him about it, like in good fun, but he had pictures of her. She was a screensaver. She was the pictures. She was on a coffee mug. I mean, everything you can imagine. And he loved Kate so much, and always will. And it just the love that he had for her was, you knew that he was cut out to not just be a dad, but to be a girl dad. I mean, he just sucked that role up, and it was great to watch. It was great to watch, but it also speaks to his heart, and he took that heart everywhere he went, whether it was as a father, as a husband, as a patrolman, or as a detective. He carried that good heart in everything that he did, and that's something that I always remember about him.
He helped me when I got hired. He was very instrumental in getting me started here. He helped me go through the process of becoming a new officer, gave me some tips, gave me some key pointers, how to keep your uniform nice, how to keep your belt and your boots polished, just certain little things. And he always went out of his way to make sure that the new officers, whether on his shift or not, and just in passing in the hallway, felt welcomed and, you know, knew what to do. I think that he's one of those kinds of guys that every police department needs, and he's going to be, already is, sorely missed. Thank you. I would tell him thank you. And that I always looked up to him. He always did a professional, good job, especially when dealing with people. He always had that mannerism that, you know, people respected on the street, and he held himself at a higher standard. Always kept his uniform sharp, and I just want to tell him thank you for teaching me how to do that stuff as well.
Sean Peak was a great officer, great father, great family man. And to me, and this is just me, I can't speak for anybody else around here, but for me, he was the embodiment of what the oath of this office is, and that is to serve and protect lives, property, and everything. My first thought was, where was Sean when I got there? And I immediately went, when I thought he was still in the water, I grabbed that rescue rope, I ran over to where he was, I threw it in. And I was telling him, hold on, Sean, hold on. And, you know, of course we got him out, but unfortunately the end result wasn't what we wanted. That night he, you know, he showed it. He put it out there and he showed it, that how much, regardless of whatever situation or encounter, he was willing to do what he had to do for the public. And he will have my unwavering respect for what he did. And the only thing I can do to say is, you know, I remember him every day. And I've always been that kind of guy to be like that for the public, for my fellow officer. And what he did goes beyond anything that I've done in the past in my eyes. And I think it'd be a way to honor him just to do what he did, and that is to do the job, be dedicated to the public, and make sure all of us go home at night.
Here you go. I would walk in, well, you know that, and the first thing he would say is, Josh Thompson. He always said, Josh Thompson. He never called me Josh. He said, Josh Thompson. No tasty cakes today, no pies today. The first thing, the joke is that they think I eat nothing but junk. And of course, you know, that was his thing. He would say, let me check your counter, your desk to see if you have any tasty cakes sitting in there. But that's his first thing. And he greeted me the same way, even until the last time I saw him. It was like, Josh Thompson. It was like he was singing, Josh Thompson. He was just that guy. Sean was just that guy. He was just that guy. He would make me laugh every day because he greeted me the same way every day. But he was he took his job seriously, and he's just missed. I would say Sean Peak. You know, we had a lot of good times. I couldn't even ask why you would go in the water because I know that's just what you would do. The only thing I could say to him is just, Sean Peak, no cakes today. No cakes today, Sean.